Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Oumaima. And today's video will be an August wrap-up in which I will be talking about all the books I've read during this month. I have read 7 books and I DNF 3 books during this month. The first book I have read this month is American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. This biography delves into the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, often heralded as the father of the atomic bomb. The journey traces Oppenheimer's path from his early childhood in the 1900s through his formative years of education in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and in Germany. Returning to the US, specifically California, he laid the foundation of a school for theoretical physics. His trajectory then led him to Los Alamos, the site where the course of history was forever altered, and he himself was altered as well. Finally, in Princeton, where Oppenheimer spent the remaining years of his life. This book is very well researched and it is based on records throughout the years from Oppenheimer's colleagues, relatives, and friends. I didn't know much about Oppenheimer, but I find myself grateful for the film that sparked my curiosity to learn more about his life. His journey proves to be a captivating exploration of a morally grey and morally intricate individual. The next book I have read is Yellowface by Kuang. This is a satirical novel that provides a commentary on publishing industry and the online literary spaces. Our narrative follows 2 friends, the contrasting authors June Hayward and Athena Liu. Athena is a successful author with numerous bestsellers. June's debut novel has failed even to secure a paperback release. The tale takes a surreal twist when June, in the confines of Athena's apartment, becomes a witness to Athena's tragic death, and in the aftermath, June finds Athena's manuscript, and Athena is very secretive in the way she writes, meaning that she doesn't tell anyone what she's writing about until she finishes her first draft. Undertakes the task of editing the manuscript, molding it, and shaping it into the best version it can be. After so many edits, she feels that this book should be out in the world. Because of the edits she has made, she feels that it is as much her work as it is Athena's work, and so June submits the work under her name, blurring the lines between authorship and collaboration. My issue with this book is that the fact that it is so much focused on race, which I understand is meant to be because of the title, but the exploration of class doesn't remain somewhat overlooked. There was a point in the book where Athena makes a comment on income. But then the topic wasn't really explored further, and it was just seen as this unlikable character making these comments about her. I think it was a missed opportunity. Although I really enjoyed this book, I was hoping for more. I gave this one 4 stars. The next book I have read, and the first book I began up this month, is The Summer Book by Tove Janssen. This is a translated work from Swedish, set in Finland about a little girl and her grandmother. It's told through interconnected little stories. This book has no plot, so I can't really tell you anything else about it. I DNF'd it because although I sometimes really like plotless books, I just could not with this one. I just got bored so much. Next book I have read is Tales from the Café by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is the sequel to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. The narrative unfolds again within the confines of the time-traveling cafe, while familiar faces like Kazu and the woman in the white dress continue their presence from the previous installments. New set of characters take the spotlight. I like the second one even more than I like the first book. My only complaint about this story, which is not really a big deal, is the repetitiveness. In the first book, we're introduced to the rules that we have for this time-traveling cafe, and in the second book, for every little story, because this book is told through like separate stories but they're all in the same cafe, every little story except for the last one will always have the rules told over and over towards us, and at this point we already know the rules, so it just kind of felt repetitive. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. The next book I have read is The Guide by Peter Heller. This is a thriller novel in which we follow our main character who just started a new job as a guide in this remote sanctuary surrounded by mountains and rivers. His role is to serve as a mentor, teaching visitors to fish and, guiding them through the mountains and everything. The ending was a bit rushed and the explanation was a bit not as much as I wanted it, so it was a bit disappointing in the end, but the atmosphere was really good. Next book I have read is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. In this story, you follow Emma Blair, who marries her high school boyfriend, and on their first wedding anniversary, her husband goes missing, but then later on they announce that he's dead. After a while of her dealing with grief, she decides to move on, and she starts dating an old friend. One day, while she's sitting with her family and with her new fiance, she receives a call from her dead husband telling her that he's been stranded in an island and now he's kind of safe and he wants to see her, and now she has to make the decision, either go back to her husband or stay with her new fiance. The idea of this book is that the fact that choosing a partner isn't always about choosing the other person, it's more about who we are with that person, and I really like this book. The next book I have read is another thriller, and that is Stay Awake by Megan Goldin. Our main character wakes up in a taxi with no recollection of how she got there or anything. The last thing she remembers is sitting in her office in a summery morning and taking a call. She finds writing all over her hands, telling her not to trust anyone and to stay awake. She goes to her apartment and she finds that she no longer lives there. There are some strangers who live in her apartment. She goes to her office and she realizes that she hasn't worked in that office in 2 years, and she apparently lives actually in London, but she has no memory of the things that these people are telling her. And at the same time, there's a murder that has just happened, in which our main character is the sole suspect of this murder, because she was the only person and last person seen with the victim before he died. This book kept me on the edge of my seats. It is so well written, and the plot twist was also really good. The next book I have read is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This is my third book by this author, and this book explores love, friendship, and the boundaries between the two. It's beautifully done as always, just like everything I have read by Abby Jimenez. The main character suffers from health issues with her uterus, and she wants to remove her uterus. So we spend the majority of this book with Kristen, our main character, trying to deal with the fact that she's falling in love with Josh, but at the same time knowing that he wants children. She knows that it's impossible for them to be together. This is not my favorite book by Abby Jimenez, but I still loved it and I still gave it 5 stars. Next book I have read is, next book I have DNF'd is Sex and Vanity by Kwan. I honestly cannot tell you anything about this book because I've only read the first chapter, which is really short, so I have no idea what this book is about. According to Goodreads, it's a romance, but I have no idea what it's about. I just read the first chapter, did not like it, didn't feel the need to continue on, so I just stopped. That's all I have to say about it. The next book I have read is also a DNF, but this one I gave it more of a chance. This one is There's No Such Thing as an Easy Job by Kikuko Tsumura. This book is very monotonous and very boring to read. We follow our main character who got burnt out in her previous job, and so she went to the recruiter and asked for a job in which she doesn't have to do any efforts, and as a result she is getting very boring jobs. This book is sold through 5 different sections. Each section is a different job that she's doing. I've already read the 2 sections, which are the 2 jobs. Both of them, the first one is she's watching a camera. I forgot the word I'm looking for, but I'm gonna put it on the screen if I remember it. She's watching this guy in his home, and the second job is a bus advertisement job. There were some interesting bits in these kind of jobs, but the writing was just so boring. It was just so not interesting to read, so I just decided to DNF this book. Even if I finished it, I would have given it 3 stars, so I just decided to just stop. These are all of the books I have read this month, and let me know what books you have read this month, and if you have found any favorites. And as always, I will see you next time. Bye.